I can't tell you even what's going to happen tomorrow.
And that's the scary thing, right?
Yeah.
Where does this lead us?
Rebecca Whitney builds AI marketing and systems for business owners.
Scaling from 12 million to 100 million.
In the short term, us as entrepreneurs, business owners, it's going to be this incredible tool that makes things more efficient. How can we start to embrace AI, and what's kind of a methodology, a strategy to sort of work through? Somebody's listening now at that point and they're like, what are my first steps?
Pick a system in your business. It could be the finding leads, it could be the customer. Where is the area where your biggest drop off or your biggest headache or your biggest failure point is? Circle that and start there.
Give people the vast understanding of what an AI agent could do. Maybe some examples within business.
I love to do local networking. Every week I receive a list of 15-ish networking events and opportunities that fit certain criteria. It'll have the links to it, it'll have the date and time, it'll tell me what my ideal client profile, how they might show up at this.
All the things we've discussed there, these are the things we're working on for the Success School membership, isn't it? So as part of your membership, we're going to be able to do things like this over time. Are you hopeful? Is there an element of you're scared about what the future holds?
It's interesting.
Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Matt.
I'm gonna pre-frame this talk by saying you are basically my go-to expert when it comes to AI. You are the person behind MattBot, which for anybody in Success School, you'll know how bloody awesome MattBot is. Unfortunately, I think people prefer MattBot to me. That's the only problem. They're getting too good.
Getting very popular in the socials.
So I'm a little pissed off about that. But other than that, I mean, let's even just start there. Like AI, this modern world of AI, it's moving so fast, and we've got things like chatbots. And I mean, do you want to just tell people about MattBot and what we created, why we created it, and the impact it's having?
Yeah, I'd love to. So what I love about MattBot is the goal was to have something that was as fun as you, as engaging as you, as smart as you.
Oh, give over. You'll never get that. You'll never get that.
They'll never come close, but we did aim for that.
You did it anyway.
We did it anyway. So what I love seeing, because the intention was to give people within the Success School, within the membership, access to your thinking, being able to ask questions. We all know as we're building a business and as we're either growing or just starting out, we have a lot of questions that sometimes we're maybe embarrassed to ask, or they come to us in the middle of the night when like there's not anything happening, right?
I think they're two of the core things. Yeah. One is not feeling silly if it's a question you've already asked before, or you think, should I ask this? That's what a chatbot gives you, is that almost like that privacy where you can ask it. But the second one is, when you're working with a coach or a mentor, you can't message them at 1 a.m. on a Saturday night or whatever. Whereas this is obviously something everybody in the membership has access to
guilt-free way
all
to
the
do
time.
It. Yeah, absolutely. So I thought it was really important that I think when chatbots are built, if they're just off the shelf or these kind of cheaper softwares, they don't really give you the depth to build out things like we create a lot of aspects of a personality. We'll never replicate a human, but we try to bring in the coaching frameworks, the tone, the personality, the typical ways of answering questions. And in your case, you had a lot written that we could also use as well and put into it. And so all of that content being distilled in a way that then made sense for AI, because I think that's also the difficult part. If you've not used AI, you're just building a chatbot thinking you've got it right when you're not really realizing things like, it's a silly one, but I love to use it. It's the context. If I say table, there's a table there we can eat at. I could table this conversation, or I could put a table in Excel.
Of course, yeah.
Very different context.
Right.
And when you're building AI you're taking out a lot of that context guessing for it, which is what we took a bit of time to do with MattBot. I am very pleased watching how many people find it useful and how many people have said it was the thing they needed to get unstuck in a certain place.
And also genuinely said it's like talking to you, Matt, because that in itself is a skill set to get that. I think to get that balance right, because also one thing we did talk about is we want people to be clear, it is not me.
Right.
Like, this is artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And that's also important. And then also having things from a safeguarding standpoint and things like saying, certain things. Look, we're not a professional in this.
Right.
Consult a professional
Absolutely.
and all that stuff. If anybody's not clear on that process, how that looks like, do you want to just talk us through how you go about developing something like that? And you spoke there about it using stuff like, for example, I've written a full book. It's not yet published. It's coming soon. But we fed it the whole book, right?
Yeah. The more content you have, the better. And so your book was actually fabulous and unique. Not everybody has that. But what you do have is probably hours worth of transcripts and recordings of calls that you've done. Or you can even just start today. And so the key thing is when we build it, we look at, I train on this, and I actually train people. It's like, if you think about it as the job description, what are you here to do? You as MattBot in this case, what are you doing? Well, you are a helpful AI assistant within this community. These are the kind of standards of what we're expecting you to be able to accomplish. We're expecting you to help them through the pathway conversation. We're expecting you to be able to help them with an ideal client or a visibility question. You should know. We're going to give you enough to know that.
Yeah.
And then there's the knowledge base, which I talk about as if it's like the SOPs and the standard operating procedures and the process documentation. It's the how you're going to do the job. And so that's where we give them things like, here's personality, here's how to answer certain types of questions, here's our website to scrape. And so
that's where it ended up calling all females dude, and we dialed that in, right?
We did dial that in. That's the place that tone is, that dial is in. And so and now we say things like, please don't use any gender affirming, confirming nicknames, because we don't know who they're talking to. Even if you know a first name, it doesn't tell you anything. And so we do live and learn a bit. And of course we try to give all the safeguards. And then the last thing that we give it is an appearance. It's like the uniform to put on. And so that's what is the avatar going to look like?
More handsome, taller, and just better looking in general.
That was kind of the problem. Just kidding. And that turned out great. So that's color schemes and all of this stuff. We've actually created a system to help people build these, because when you have the right prompts, when you know what to put into AI, you can actually do a lot of it with its assistance. And like for you, which often doesn't happen in these chatbots, you have a system in the back end where every time you record something, this podcast, a call, that transcript can be summarized and dropped into a Google Sheet, and it picks that up. So you never have to go rebuild it. It's always up to date.
I also like what we did is we had a trial period, didn't we? So when we launched it, we told everyone it's in its trial phase. But what we got to do is really learn how people are using it, what's working, what's not working. And that's the other thing, isn't it? You don't just put it out there and leave it. It's a constant thing to look at.
If you're not giving feedback and looking at it on that occasion, it really can either go stale or it can be incorrect. And so I really do, when I train, I teach about the early trial session, which you should find people who are as close to your users as possible. Do not ask your, best friend who's not your ideal client to test it. Find a couple of people who are like, they would really make good use of it and they can give you feedback. Tell them the feedback you want. You don't want everything. You need feedback on these particular things. Give that a few days. And then you do it a bit of an expanded version in the real environment and you watch it like a hawk.
Did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything it said, I just wanted to, does this feel like Matt?
Yeah.
Is this what we intended? Has anybody asked a question we didn't consider? Because the best part of AI is I didn't have to program what to say. I just had to give it how to think. And I had to make sure it was thinking okay.
And as you join me today, now obviously this is going to go out in the future. So hello, people in the future. We're working on something else for the membership.
We are.
Do you want to just tell us how? And we must say it's very early stages.
Very early stages, yes. So obviously not obviously, if you were to ask people what they most want out of AI, more often than not, it is typically some way to get more customers and clients, to get leads, to get whatever framework you put on it. It's around, I probably need to be talking to more people.
Right. Need to get more visible, get more known, and buy me back my time. Like, how do I do that and do it in an easier way and a quicker way, right?
Right, yeah. So in a good way, you challenge me for like, okay, for this audience and for what we're trying to do, what might be a way to do that? And I'm always keeping the time savings in mind, because AI can be an amazing tool, but if you're not saving time, I do question if you're really approaching it the right way, right? If it's just been another place you're spending your time getting something done.
Yeah, you spoke about this at the when I heard you talk recently about, was it that the studies have been done and actually it's not saving people time in a lot of businesses? Do you want to just touch on that? 'Cause that was interesting.
The stat is, and I won't be able to name where it is right now, but show notes.
We'll put it in the show notes if we remember.
If we remember that 80% of businesses in this poll had tried to implement AI, but 80% of them had not seen a improvement in time efficiency nor in revenue or profit.
Wow.
So you're thinking, what are they doing?
And what are they doing then? What's the sort of findings there?
A lot of Band-Aids. I think here in the UK they say plasters a lot. We say duct tape and twine or something in the US, but it's this idea of like you're solving one little thing, or you're putting AI on top of something that wasn't efficient to begin with. And while it can help, or it might make it a slightly better experience for somebody in the ecosystem, it's usually not solving an entire end-to-end system. So I talk a lot that if you're looking for a tool, like if you tell me I want a CRM, I need a CRM, that's usually what somebody will say. I'll be like, let's go back a step. What are you trying to accomplish?
Right.
So I'm going to segue and come back to what we're working on. But that happened on a call this week. And somebody, they listened to me say it. And then she said, I was just actually looking for a CRM. So, well, tell me more. What were you really trying to do? And they're like, I meet all these people and I just want to be able to remember things. And sometimes I know the exact thing that they need. I want to send them. And we just worked through a process that was basically, could they do a voice memo, drop that information in, and if it put it in a place that then also drafted the follow-up for her, that a day later or the next morning she could go in and say, oh yeah, those are the follow-ups I want, and send those off. Was that a better solve? Nowhere in there do we need to add a CRM.
Right.
And so now she has something she's really excited about and has solved the actual issue and probably is going to get a lot of response out of that because it's next day, what they need. And so I could go into the technical details, but let's just say it's not a lot of time to get it set up. And then you have all of this advantage. So it's finding what do you need. So
I think that's an important point, though, for anybody listening. Because I'm sure there will be a lot of people listening to this and they're like, they know they need to lean into AI to become more efficient in business and save time and ultimately deliver better services as well, which I think is one of the big things I'm focused on, is how can we be better than humans alone are currently doing it. That's how I'm thinking. But actually, it's really coming back to those core principles and not just going, oh, this looks fun, or this is going to add something, or, it's actually at the end of the day, it's almost like ROI, isn't it? It's coming back to, is this making us better? Is it making us more efficient? Is it saving us time?
Right.
And that's the key thing that you do, right?
It is. And back to that systems thinking, if people come with a tool question or a tool answer, I often will know right away we didn't think AI first.
Yes.
We didn't step back and say, what are we trying to accomplish? And we talk in with our team about napkin mapping, about taking the system right now. So, and you did this without knowing it on the thing we're working on together. I asked, how would people do this already? They would go to Instagram, they might look up, they might do some searches this way. And so I just tried to say, okay, how do I replicate what they've already started doing, how they're already acting as humans?
Yeah.
That system exists,
right?
Whether we do it well or not.
Sure.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
But that system exists. And so how do I take AI and think about what AI can do? And yes.
Do you want to just explain then, just to be clear, what that means then, AI first approach? Because I know this is a big part of your working, but just so that people can really adopt and understand that way of working.
It's an assumption. I have a few points I like to point out. It's an assumption that anything's possible. It may not be yet. It may not be possible the way you want it to be possible yet, but it's the assumption it is. So having a little bit of a fun improv few sessions, one of the best things out of improv is yes and I try to tell people to think about AI that way. Yes and like, I wonder if we can actually proactively find people on Instagram or LinkedIn that are good candidates and actually message them and like, a post that they've put out there, and could we do that, all of that with AI? And my answer was
yes.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. And sometimes there's tools. that do that. But until you know what you're trying to solve for collectively, you're going to get a tool that does maybe a part of that. And then you're just stacking up these monthly costs, which are often crazy, and you're usually not getting to the end result. So the system we're looking at putting together was using.
Yes. So we can go into this now.
Yes.
Tell us everything.
So I was just doing this on my way here, which was why I was so excited to explain it, because anytime I can have AI doing something and also me doing something else, whether it's something fun or something work related, that part doesn't matter. It's just saving me real time. So we are going to be able to show people how to not only, we'll likely use Mapbot if they haven't already come up with their ideal client profile. We'll get them to work with Mapbot to do that. And with that, we'll give them just a bit of a prompt, and they can copy two things together, drop it into an AI tool, and basically by clicking a couple extra buttons that will show them how to do, it will go into their Instagram or their LinkedIn or their Facebook, wherever it is they think their ideal clients are. And with just a few little yes, you can do this, please go ahead, it will go in, it will search for the ideal clients, it will make decisions, it will make choices as if it's human. And then it will, in my case, I asked it to find a certain profile. I asked it to find a post that seemed to fit things I believed in and didn't violate anything. Like, I'm big into the environment and other things. It was like, I want to make sure this post aligns to my values, and then like it, and then follow them for me.
And the result?
And the result, 20 minutes later, it had found 10 people. It had liked the post. It had followed them on Instagram and created the message that I needed to send to them a week later.
Oh my God.
And I was on my phone doing something else while I was doing it.
So we should probably explain that this is like the concept of an AI agent, right?
Correct.
So you want to explain for people that are not familiar with that terminology. So a lot of people have heard about AI. They've maybe heard of chatbots like Mapbot. They've maybe heard of things like your ChatGPT.
And custom GPTs and the like, right?
Well, what's the difference with an AI agent?
Sometimes it can be very confusing. And if there's somebody out there who knows better than me, just ignore this next part of it, because how I like to think of it is I am asking AI to go and do something for me, to be in control of something on my behalf, whether that's actually logging into something or if it's just and doing something, or if it's even just scanning my mail. So back to the job description, SOPs, appearance, I think of it as anybody I'm assigning in an AI world to have a specific role, to either tap into a centralized knowledge base or to have a bit of its own knowledge base, and then have said it and sometimes forget it, but sometimes it needs to interact with me. But it's like a human. It's like if we work together and we tag teamed on a task, you would come back and say, here's what I've done. And so a good AI agent can be set up, a great one. There are plenty of out there running in the world that are fully autonomous and doing the things and moving things down the operations infrastructure of a business. But for most of us who are just trying to operate in a business that may have, a handful of people in it, usually what we are able to do is kind of set these one-off agents into doing something, i.e. be a social media lead generator.
So give us some more examples then, just to really give people the vast understanding of what an AI agent could do. Maybe some examples within business, maybe even just within day-to-day life. What are the kinds of things we can expect?
I love to have agents. I have, and this is actually, I think of the best one. I have a couple of, these are more task-oriented, but I think of it as an agent I've created where I love to do local networking. I love to find events. As we know, being in person, being in rooms with people is so helpful to getting to know them and building trust. There's a lot of trust that gets built faster. Yeah. So every week I receive a list of, I live in Orlando, Florida. I receive a list of 15-ish networking events and opportunities that fit certain criteria. It'll have the links to it. It'll have the date and time. It'll tell me what my ideal client profile, how they might show up at this. So sometimes it's a really interesting niche thing that I might not have looked for specifically, but it's like, because of what you're doing with AI, this particular restaurant group might actually have some benefit of hearing from you from an AI perspective.
And you might have never thought of that.
Right. And there's so much out there. We all know, like, there's events are such a massive and great way to bring about knowledge and bring about this network that it's exploding again. You know, we had that, dip that we had with COVID and those follow-up years. And now it's events all the time. We can't be everywhere. And so I look at agents as anywhere like that it can help me do something different, that I wouldn't either do something and save me time or approach it from a different perspective or just remember to do it. So the agent that is in essence set up weekly to go fetch this information on, I forget about it.
Yeah.
And it pops up and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, what a great job done.
Yeah. So I've been traveling for 2 weeks. I've just kind of not paid attention to it. And then I got it yesterday and it's like, oh, I'm back in town. I should look to see if there's anything. And so
in terms of things like visibility, what we're hearing is it can actually go out and find ideal clients, interact with them. It can find events that you can get to and give you a list of them.
Yes.
And it literally does this almost like a team member that's proactively going after these results.
Exactly.
What else are the kind of things?
I have one I teach on that's basically, and this is still going to be in content generation a bit, but I have a Google sheet that's a social media sheet. And basically, as a content creator, sometimes you just have the idea. You don't necessarily want to go and do the thing. So if you just drop your ideas into the sheet, at the point you say, okay, that line's ready. I think that's the topic I want. You can basically just change a status in a Google sheet. If you've ever worked in any Excel or Google sheet, you can do that part, right? Sure. Type some words, change it. And in that case, it will go off into the background, do some research, come back, and it'll give you a LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram post. And done well, you can actually edit right in that sheet. And once you've approved it, it'll go post it for you, so it's just as well.
Literally done for you.
Literally done for you. And so those are the types of things that, like, while we interchange some of the how we talk about agents or how we talk about AI, it's the best thing to do is think, what can it do? Having that yes and I think that's possible. Let me ask somebody, like, this might be possible. And then really pushing that boundary for, okay, great, it did that part. Can it also do this? And just being that constant curiosity is really important.
This episode is sponsored by Laura Robson and Back Pocket Office. Now, let me tell you about this one. Laura is somebody you need in your life. I have got her in my life, and all I can say about her is I don't know how I'd live without her. And it's true. If you're anything like me, you will hate tech. You'll be great at launching and creating the marketing material and delivering on the actual product that you're selling. But when it comes to the back end, making sure it's all automated and it all works, I just can't be bothered. And if you're the same, Laura is the solution. Laura is a systems strategist and she's also a certified launch and funnel specialist. And if you are a service provider, if you're a coach, consultant, any kind of online business that provides some kind of online service, then Laura is there to help sort out all your funnels and systems for you. With over 14 years experience, she's somebody who's going to get you solutions quick. She's easy to speak to, very approachable, and just really friendly and nice, basically. So if you are ready to get your systems and your funnels all sorted for you and work with one of the best in the business, go check out backpocketoffice.co.uk and connect with Laura on socials. The links are literally right below this episode in the show notes. Go click it, and I mean this. Go and do it now. You will not regret it.
It's like such an exciting and unprecedented time, really, because this kind of change in technology, I guess you'd call it, we've just never known, have we? And really, none of us can truly know what's around the corner. I think it's just about learning, embracing. And by the way, I want to say to people listening, like this, all the things we've discussed there, these are the things we're working on for the Success School membership, isn't it? So as part of your membership, we're going to be able to do things like this over time. So basically, if you want these kind of tools, join us. But also, if you want somebody to help orchestrate something similar for your business, basically, Rebecca, you are the person that I'm just telling everybody, speak to. I mean, the amount of people that have just been like, Mapbot's amazing. I've been like, Rebecca's the person that created Mapbot, it's not me. And I know just people have genuinely been blown away by it and the work that you do. I'd love to sort of just delve a little bit for those who don't already know you, into your journey, like what brought you here, not just as an entrepreneur, but specifically now working in AI. What was your journey to this?
Do you ever look back on your life and be like, wow, 30 years ago, this thing led me here? And AI seems like the craziest one to say that about, but it's so true. So I was actually in the U.S. military, and through that had some exposure to kind of database building, which is going to sound odd given the timing of that. But that led to a job where I was around model building. And so given that I was around model building really early in my career, when AI started becoming a thing that we were talking about 5 or 6 years ago, it made sense. I had enough exposure, not direct. I know people who'd maybe they were doing actually something with generative or AI back in the day. For me, it was more I could understand it. I could see what was happening. And so I was a part of a company in around 2018, and we were scaling and growing, and we've talked about this. It's the one that went from 10 million to 100 million in 4 years, and I'll talk about that as well. A piece of it, although not the reason it necessarily made that scale, was we created an AI, a patented product for AI that helped find. It's a healthcare product that helped find patients with using specific data.
And when was this?
This was 2018.
So a lot of people will be like, I didn't know AI was even around then, right? But I think it's been around a lot longer than most people have thought it was.
The phrase comes from the 60s. So the first the first coining of the phrase, I think, was 1968. Again, my fact checkers are going to be strong. Somewhere around that. And it really, what has changed is the computing power, right, has changed drastically. The amount of information between social and just us building websites and all the things we put on the internet, the information blew up, and then the speed with which and the access that we have. So all those, it's like a perfect storm that took it from what was like 60s, 70s, 80s. It was more science and more investigation and what might be possible. And then companies did start building within their ecosystem AI-ish tools and capabilities. So what we're seeing is that a company, and OpenAI is one of the lead ones. I'd be hard pressed to know if it was the first one, but all of a sudden there was a commercial quality to it. All of a sudden there was a consumer push.
Right.
And so when ChatGPT came out, and I want to say that was in later 2022, and came out of beta and came into existence for the rest of us, then even that feels like people are just, I have people I talk to each week who have not used ChatGPT or any of the large language models, LLMs, yet. And I'm shocked, because I feel like I've just been doing this I've been talking about AI what seems like forever. But I had a really forward thinking, the person who came up with the idea that we ended up patenting, really smart. He had been exposed to it for a long time, and healthcare had a specific need. And that's often where it's like, okay, what are we trying to get to? And he was willing to say, it's possible, let's build this. And we did. We built an entire closed infrastructure AI capability that I will tell you, in the growth curve of that company, it wasn't what got us there in 4 years, but it's definitely the last year of it. It was a huge booster to that.
Let's go a bit deeper on that then. So helping scale a business from 10 million to 100 million in 4 years is huge. And obviously there's going to be no doubt some people listening going, I would like to do that, or even just a little bit of that would be good. So obviously you've explained one thing there, but if you was to reflect on that time in terms of, I guess, really the question is around, what is it that a company does differently to get to that level versus maybe the companies that never get to that stage? What are the traits, the behaviors, the thinking, the principles that you could maybe share?
For another podcast, we'll talk about how we could have done it in half the time with half the people.
God.
But
I'm not letting you go until you tell us that as well.
It's always something I look at, because we had such an incredible thing. And so I think it is the desire and the statement of the goals, right? We were very clear that we were actually heading to 100 million. I would argue we needed even clearer goals of how we were going to get there, because that can be very stressful on a team if they're not sure exactly how. So, but it did cause us to be more advanced in product development and thinking of what we could bring to market. Obviously, and I tell people of any business size, if you get me in a room, even if it's just a person who has 1 or 2 people on the team, I tell people, build as if you're going to sell it.
Yeah.
Build it scalable.
Yeah. Even if you don't want to,
Absolutely.
still think with that end in mind, right?
Right. And so I think in the time frame that I came in, which was originally as a marketing position, in that marketing, I just rebuilt the foundation of our marketing in that completely scalable system. And so all of a sudden, when we were able to use the data to figure out who was buying from us and how to resell to them, and then I was working with the sales team, and I was one of probably 6 of us who really were focused on this growth and driving that. And so I think it's that commitment. It's having a team, so strategy I'll talk about a lot is knowing where to play and how to win, and we knew how to win. The where to play, we shuffled around a bit, and we just kept iteratively learning quickly. So having, that fast learning loop. But when you have a team that even if they don't fully understand in detail where you're heading, if they care, if you've hired the right people, if they're living up to your core values,
yeah,
you can go anywhere.
That's huge.
I had a team. I had the best team, and that was true of my peer team, and then the team that I worked within my groups.
It's that kind of principle of it's not the what, it's the who.
It's the who.
And when I reflect, really, and obviously I've not had success on anywhere near that kind of scale, but I think as I reflect, my first business I started 15 years ago, and the one constant throughout it is I wasn't afraid to delegate. I wasn't afraid to give. I think some people, especially when they're more, one-person bands, solopreneur phase, there's this fear around hiring somebody, around giving away control, around letting someone else make decisions, all that kind of stuff. And I actually reflect one of my strengths is I've always operated from the principle of I want to be the least qualified person in the room. I want to get the best people around me. And again, to your point, it's not just their skill set or experience or talent, it's also their values, their beliefs, their care for that project as well, right?
Absolutely. And I will tell you, just in the last couple of weeks, I've gotten 2 messages from people that worked with me on that team thanking me for believing in them when they didn't have the skill set that they should have had for the role.
Wow.
Because I can see in people.
So you take that over skill set. You see, that's the other thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think, especially in my first business, there were people that were the most talented. So that was a performing arts sort of singing. We hired performers. Some of the best singers, performers that I've ever met, but the worst attitude. And there was a number of occasions where I let people go and instead replaced them where people going, but he's not as talented, he's not as good, but I said, but his attitude's right. And you can work with that, you can train that, 100%. You can support it, right?
Yeah. And that's where, when you come back to this AI first, my second part of that is humanity always, because it's that valuing people, when we value what we are capable of, when we value the beauty of the 3-dimensional world that we live in, and probably more dimensions than that, to be fair, but there's just so much magic waiting to happen. And I look at AI as just a way to unleash that, to show what's possible. And I think that looking back on that team and how that applies to what I do today is just so much of it could have been about efficiency and cutting, and instead it was about building and growing and seeing and keeping our eye on what was possible. And it was chaotic, and there were things that I wish we would have done differently. And again, the other side of it is a great kind of study in business and business scalability, and I do talk a bit about it in my community, because I think that that's also equally important, is the understanding of we did it, and we came out of it saying that we did it, but in the end, did we build the real value that you can build as a company for the people on the team, for their customers and things like that? And I think you can get too focused on a financial goal and forget some of that.
So give us something. What would you have done differently if you could go back?
We did not have a cohesive leadership. 2 things come to mind. We did not have a cohesive senior leadership team. a lot of things were done kind of in closed room and decided and then shared down, and there would be a team trying to figure out the how to get it done. So I think when you're building a team that's structured to scale at the mid, kind of at my not executive level but senior level, we had a lot of really good communication and coordination, but there was decisions at a higher level that sometimes were made. And so just building that top down, bottoms up communication flow.
Yeah, both ways, yeah.
Yeah, and really, really building out. And I tell people now with AI, it's so important to build out the knowledge bases and to give these kind of centralized places for people to go and understand how to do their job. And I believe in, if you're training or sharing or helping with change management, communicate 7 times 7 ways. So sometimes that's you and I talking, it's a video, it's a handwritten, it's a checklist. Like, we have to really think about the care of our teams. If we're moving fast, they need better communication than ever.
Do you think that's one of the things where a lot of people go wrong, because this moving at such a speed that the communication fails?
It's the communication, because I think I did a slide for, I think at like 5 people, there's like 50 communication paths, but at like 3 times that, there's like 2,800. And so when you think of just the sheer, how do you structure what you're doing in a way that is healthy and thorough and serves everybody on your team. We have things now around neurodivergence and learning styles, and I am the type of leader who wants us to think about those things. It's not something to like put off or just wait for somebody to bring up. It's like, how can I think about this in a way that is really inclusive?
Because everybody benefits, right?
Exactly.
If you're bringing the best out of the individuals and helping communicate in a way that they best understand, or how supports them best, they're going to thrive, which means everybody thrives.
Exactly. And I think that when we think of that, instead of like, oh, we need to think about this from it, it's like, how inclusively can we think about everything that we are doing? And I'll give a quick AI building example. It's a bit of an agent concept, but I worked on a voice AI where you could call into it, and it would help.
I had a little listen to that recently.
Oh, very nice, yeah. The new one is around goal setting, and it helps take you through a goal setting exercise. And so, as you do, you test these things, and I hated it.
Wow.
Because I was like, I can't see, because as somebody who, when I'm thinking, I like to see it in front of me. So when it was asking me questions like, oh, this 12-month goal that we just came up with, which includes these 3 things, what's something this quarter you can do? And I found myself overwhelmed by, and I'm sure somebody else could have done the voice AI and loved it.
It'd have been perfect for them.
It would have been perfect. And I thought to do both.
Yep.
So then I went and built the exact same thing, which is fairly easy to do once you have one knowledge base. I built it so that it could be a text version of it. And I tested that. I was like, this is exactly what I needed.
That's incredible.
So it's that type of thinking of like thinking and testing. Because I asked somebody else to test it, and they thought, oh, I'm just testing if it works and if the sound is. It's like, no, I want you to say, like, did I get something of value? Did I get an actual set of goals? Because we were actually taking it and then being able to display it on screen so they could see their goals in front of them. But if I can't remember what I said.
Right.
So it's just those types of thinking. And that particular company and the senior leader, the executive leadership team at the time, just didn't have that propensity to take people along for the ride. It was more of a, we're going there, catch up if you can.
Sure, yeah. Which I guess would probably be quite common in a lot of businesses, scaling in that way. So, you've mentioned there, AI first approach, humanity always.
Yes.
How does that actually look? Like, in terms of thinking and in terms of your approach, because this is one of the things that's really attracted me to work with you, this humanity always. How do you approach that?
I want to, when somebody is asking me to help them think through something, I really want to hear what they're trying. What is the real outcome? What is their heart in it? What's different? I asked you this question when we built, what's different in 6 months because this exists?
Right.
And I'm really not only asking them to think ahead, I'm also asking them to kind of, check if what they're asking it to do is in the right spirit of things.
Almost like their values.
Yes, and because if you're here and you're looking to cut staff, or you're looking to, life's too short for me to focus what I'm working on and bring the magic I bring to something that is about actually not having humanity be first, not having them be the most valuable. And so that is a little bit of it. It not only aligns the work that we're doing and says, okay, because we should all be outcome focused, but when outcomes are about the team, are about a better thing in the world, are about giving people, 10x the ability that they had before so that they can live the life of their dreams, I'm going to get more excited about that. What we build is probably going to be more helpful. And if we're generally reminding us that that's what we're here to do, then that humanity always can show up in other ways as well. Then the people who think that way find me, I find them. And then we have some influence too. If anybody's on the fence, or they're just they're just like, oh, I just want AI. It's like, well, why? And, it's that same rule about you are who you surround yourself with. Right. And so sometimes somebody will come along who they might have a little bit different thought on that. And once they think about it, it's the transparency of it all. It's the doing the right thing around, some of the concerns that are coming out about AI and helping people understand that. So,
So it's thinking it through long term as well, isn't it? Rather than just the initial immediate results we can get. Yeah. And ultimately, it's just coming back to that question, is this genuinely a win for everybody? Because if it's not, what does that look like?
Yeah. If somebody's losing, we should really think about, is that necessary?
And the concern is that a lot of people are not thinking like that. And again, this is what's attracted me to work with you, really is there is some very real concerns there that you touched upon. I've even heard, I believe, and again, I could be misquoting, but there's some people, I think Elon Musk has said that potentially we're looking at up to a 30% chance it could wipe out humanity. Like, you would think if it's a 0.01% chance, you'd go, should we really be doing this? Like, the whole of humanity could be wiped out. And some people are saying it could be 20%, 25%. And what frightens me is this is a conversation that doesn't seem to really be happening. Like, what are we doing to safeguard and so on? And that's why I think for the small people like us, it's important that we're having this conversation, at the very least, doing what we can with the way we use it and being as responsible and thoughtful as possible. What's your overall thoughts as someone in that space, hearing stuff like that? Are you hopeful? Is there an element of you're scared about what the future holds?
I am. Somebody gave me a gift once. It said painfully optimistic. It was how they described me. And so I know that I am traditionally an optimist. I traditionally go about my life with a lot of hope, and probably even more so recently, personal development, things that we do. But at the same time, I have to be a responsible human. If I'm AI first, humanity always. I'm always balancing that. If you were to pay attention at all to any socials that have any flair of my personal life, I'm very dedicated to the environment and animal welfare, and so I'm walking around with this kind of question in my mind, not only of the 20 years or 10 years or whatever the experts might be giving it, but more, I think, what can I do? What in my world? So I'm very clear anytime I'm using AI, I'm very clear about the humanity first aspect of it. I'm very clear about the things I do about both donating my time and money around causes that I think are really important. Shout out to the manatees. So I love being a part and keeping myself very close to the things that could be impacted. Very close to those things. At the same time, I think it could be a watershed time frame. And what I mean by that is we've environmentally been on a fast track downward, environmentally. Climate change, all of those things that we know. And for some reason, we have not been acting as a group of humans to say, what could we really be? It's become a political argument and reduced to that type of thing. What I'm very interested to see is, because we're all having our lives changed by AI, whether in small ways or in big ways, and we see the future of it, it's very little chance anybody's going to pull that back and say, oh, Just kidding. We're not going to do that anymore.
I mean, it's just happening, isn't it?
It's just happening. And so because it's happening, what is the innovations? What are the moonshots? What are the crazy, those people who we love who somehow just they solve these massive problems impacting the world because of the pressure of other things. And I think AI might be the pressure that we've needed to actually create the things that will save our planet, our humanity, and other things. So I mean,
people are already saying things like pretty much every disease and cancer, like there'll be cures for everything, is what they're predicting, right?
Yeah. So if you think through the cures, if you think through it from a medicine perspective, if you think through even in how they're having to think through the electric empowering of AI, they're having to come up right now today with incredible ideas around having it be in water, having it. I just listened to a podcast. I wish I could remember which one, and they're actually using AI to reroute the power grid to actually reduce the overall impact on the power grid throughout the entire United States. So TED Talk, it was brilliant, and it's those types of things. Pay attention to them.
Sure.
Look for the good. Look for the good. Support the good. Be the good. I think those are the things that are going to make a difference. And I can't tell you even what's going to happen tomorrow.
This episode is sponsored by Dr. Tania King-Mohammad. She is the high ticket woman, the #1 best-selling author of the high ticket method, and one of the most sought after high ticket experts in the game. Basically, if you are an entrepreneur who is serious about scaling their business, you need to grab a copy of her book right now. Literally, I have read it and it is a game changer. It will blow your flipping mind. Tania is the mentor that the entrepreneurs call once they are finished playing small and are ready to start charging their worth. Working with Tania is all about creating consistent high ticket sales and doing it in a way where you can create a freedom level income without the constant hustle and grind like a lot of the other mentors bang on about. If you're listening to this show, you already know you're somebody that's meant for more and is willing to go and work for it. So basically, you need to get into Tania's world. Go and grab a copy of her book right now on Amazon and make sure you give her a cheeky little follow on Instagram. She is at Freedom with Tania, and she's consistently giving strategies, tips and advice over there for free so you can start charging your worth and actually starting to believe in it.
Because I guess that's the criticism. The other side, you've got on one hand people saying all the amazing things it's going to do, but then I hear people speaking about there's this real race to be the first, and whenever there's an element of greed and financial gain, that's not humanity first.
No.
Right? And that's traditionally, when we look historically at human behavior, it does make it hard to be hopeful, because greed usually drives an ego and personal gain and those kind of things. But that's why I think having people like you in this space is so important, and having conversations like this is really, really, really important. And I guess the other side of it is, again, nobody can predict anything. It's more just an interesting conversation. But where does this lead us? Because I'll tell you my thoughts. I feel like in the short term, for us as entrepreneurs, business owners, it's going to be this incredible tool that makes things more efficient and faster and better and easier. And it's going to just be better and better and better. I question then if the landscape's going to change so much that there's not going to be a need for a lot of us and a lot of our businesses. For example, why would you need a business strategist when you've got a robot that does it 20 million times better than half of it? So I'm kind of, and then I always try and think solutions. So if that is true, what can we do? And I think, number one, lean into AI now and understand it and learn and use it for good.
Right.
And then number two, from that, evolve with it. And that might mean I'm not a business strategist in a few years because there's no demand for it. But if you're leaning into it now, the hope would be you're on the right path to evolve with it. What's your thoughts?
I think all of those things, but I also think in the end, humans are about connection. And somehow, some way, there will always be that. People love MattBot because they love Matt.
Right.
They see Matt, they understand Matt, and then they get to have a bit more of that.
Right.
I don't see anybody in the membership being like, oh, like I'd really just love it if that's all I was working with.
Yeah,
That's
kick Matt out.
Kick Matt out. Yeah,
Some people
yes.
might. Helen might.
Helen might. I saw the request. So there's just this like, in the end, when we are all in the U.S., I don't know if this is elsewhere, we talk about doctors working at the top of their license. You want them doing the things that they are only the best at.
Sure.
And qualified to do. And then you want the nurses doing the same. And when you think of that ecosystem, us as humans are the most elevated, creative. Think of all that we can do. Artificial intelligence only exists because it's our intelligence captured.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's where we have to come back to, just be, I've lived my life hopeful I would always be on the right side of history.
Sure.
In every possible way that shows up. We just need to be on the right side of the history, doing the right things, learning how to make this more and more about elevating the humans and the human experience around us. If you're in that 80% that's implementing and 80% that's not getting your money back, fix that.
Sure.
Give your people back. At no point, business, could be actually fun again for the people who it's not anymore.
Right.
I talk to a lot of very stressed business owners. And so there is an element where we can't, the main thing I don't want it to do is make us any lazier or to make it any harder on the planet.
And that's the balancing act.
And both of those things by default could be very possible.
Sure.
So, I'm very involved in sports in the Orlando community, and I love that our whole purpose is to get people outside, to meet people, to get out and play. Adults. We have people in their 70s playing football, soccer, and that
Brilliant.
aspect, I'm always looking at that side of things. And like, I love talking to that group about it because they know AI can't replace anything they're doing.
And it's how can we support that and do more of that with AI? I think that's really the best case scenario for this, and the one that I'm hopeful we'll have. And I have felt like there's been more of a need for in-person connection. I think this whole trajectory we've been on with advancements in technology, with social media, which very quickly became unsocial media, and,
Right.
And then the AI now on top of that. I think people are craving proper connection.
Yeah.
And, again, conversations like this can just reiterate that and remind people, be proactive in doing that. Find to come to our events, for example, versus just being on our membership on Zoom, takes more effort, takes more money, takes more time, but it's worth that investment.
So worth it.
Make that effort, right?
Please make that effort. Please. And whatever that looks like, picking up the phone and calling somebody that you haven't in a while, going and visiting somebody, showing up at the networking events, like it just... that type of time is the type of time, that's the working at the top of our license. It's the being with each other, because when I'm with people, I can see their value and their magic, and I can encourage that. And I do think that generally finding the right rooms where that's the feeling and the vibe, because I will also, if that's not the community you're in, please go find that.
Sure.
And, for us with the sports, we specifically created sports so that people who are injured or people who maybe hadn't been active in a while had a place to go. If you see that welcoming type of post or invitation or friend, just say yes.
Yeah.
Come out from behind the computer, just say yes. Get out, meet people. They're amazing. I love people.
And that's a personal responsibility thing. We've all, as individuals, got to decide we value that, and we're going to be proactive in doing that as well. So if I'm a business owner and I'm listening to this podcast, I'm kind of like, look, I've heard about AI for a while. I've not yet implemented it. I've maybe used a bit of ChatGPT and bits and bobs like that. But I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm hearing humanity first and, humanity always, and that being at the forefront. But I'm kind of like, I want to make sure that I'm being efficient with it. It is genuinely going to save me time. It's genuinely going to improve things. And I don't want to be in that 80%. If somebody's listening now at that point and they're like, what are my first steps?
Yeah.
What advice would you give them? How can we start to embrace AI, and what's kind of a methodology, a strategy to sort of work through?
Pick a system in your business. It could be the finding leads. It could be the customer aspect of it. It could be billing and financial side. Pick a system.
So pick one individual part first.
Yes.
Okay.
And the way we ask you to do it is even on the back of a napkin, just map out, put the big boxes. How does that happen today? And then if you think about it, where is the area where your biggest drop off or your biggest headache or your biggest failure point is, circle that and start there. How can I think about that thing being done differently with AI? If we were doing it online, we do a red light, yellow light, green light exercise. And we say, if you look at all these steps that it takes for a customer for you to find a prospect and for them to become a customer, if there's anything that is a red light, so for instance, maybe, you don't get them their invoice for 2 weeks after they've signed, whatever that looks like,
Sure.
circle that and just take that to AI. This is the thing I'm trying to solve. This is where it is in my system. Do not, everybody who tells you have to be this crazy prompt engineer, do not listen to that. Literally just go and either hit the little microphone button and talk to it or type it out and ask it to give you a couple of ideas on how to make AI a part of that particular piece of your system.
So I guess the first thing that comes up for me hearing that is I would worry that there's all these different tools, all these different systems. And what I wouldn't want to end up doing is just subscribing over time to a million and different things that don't speak to each other. And the idea and the concept of starting with one might mean I get a good system for that, but it doesn't talk to this and this. So what's your kind of suggestion on how it all then over time integrates and works as one?
No, it's a great point, and it's a great call out to say when I talk about systems, I'm actually not often talking about tools. So when you're doing this, think about the next thing I tell you to do in this process is what tools are you already using, and figure out how to actually implement this within those commonly.
Right.
Most of us don't need another tool. They might be fun. They're a great little detour. We do not need to pay another monthly amount. And this is the benefit, if you're self-implementing something like this, go through that process, but then ask it, here's the tools I'm using for this already. How can I accomplish this within the tool I already have?
Sure.
As you strengthen and deepen your use of what you already have, you're actually fixing those systems. You're getting them all to at least yellow, if not green. Then you can think of, okay, now my system's running. I actually want to upgrade the whole ecosystem. That may be a tool upgrade to actually look at. And there's ways to do that. Please don't just go watch demos and get excited. Plan out what you really want from the system. So there is a stepping. So those 80% of the 80%, I promise you, they didn't map out their current system.
Yep.
They didn't pick the one area that they could look at and kind of deep dive and figure out how to use AI for it. They didn't probably look at their current tools that they're already using and see if there was a way to do it. And they probably just subscribed to the one-off tool and said, yep, we tried.
Yeah. It's like the shiny penny syndrome thing, just
Shiny
something
penny,
that looks
right.
interesting, but they've not followed that full, I guess, procedure that you're speaking about, right?
Exactly. So, so that's what we try to take people through is don't chase the tools, chase fixing the system, chase fixing the optimization of that system. Then you can, most people, I think the stat, I'm making this one up actually, but I've heard it's somewhere around 10 or 20% of software that we subscribe to do we use the capabilities of. So we're probably sitting on gold mines of, we all pay for something. If we're a business, we've probably subscribed to something. I would, just even in a membership, are you actually going to all the event? Are you listening to the Q&As? Are you investing in your side of that learning journey? Because if you do, you're probably getting results. That's the same with software.
Such a great point. And I bet you're probably right. I bet even 10%'s ambitious for a lot of.
Right.
We might get a software, like I'm thinking, even just the simple stuff most of us will know, like Canva or ManyChat, or, we might just do one thing on each.
Right.
When there's so much more. Like integrated now, you probably, I'm straight away thinking, I'm sure most of what ManyChat does on one of our CRM systems, it does most of the same stuff anyway. It's things like that. Is it really going back to those basics and exploring? And
when you have somebody who can kind of see the forest and the trees really well, they can do this together at the same time, but I don't recommend it for most because you're also learning how to train your team. Which most of us haven't done. You're also learning those 7 ways, 7 times 7 ways method of communication. You're also having to be clear about your outcomes of both the system and the company. And a lot of us could use those back to basics in it versus just trying to fix it all at one time.
It just comes back to a principle I talk about a lot on this show, which is simplicity scales, complexity fails. And there's another thing that I say all the time, which is look after the basics look after you. And I think it's applicable to this conversation is go back to the basics, simplify, streamline. And I think be very mindful. I think a lot of us entrepreneurial style brains are very attracted to the shiny pennies, and we're always bolting on stuff. And we're always justifying why we can add on instead of going, what can we remove and what can we, as you said, utilize better?
Right. Great questions.
Rebecca, this is just brilliant, and the time's gone way too quick, and I want to keep talking. But what I do want to do is just make a bit of space now for the general life questions that I ask all guests on this show, and I know you've not been prepped, so this is going to be fantastic.
Excited.
I love putting you on the spot. All right, first question is, what is some of the best life advice you've received, and why?
That's a I don't know if I qualify it as life advice per se, but it's a life outlook. And as you know, I spent a bit of time in the one of the Tony Robbins programs.
It was one of the top ones, right? The Platinum.
Yeah, the Platinum Partnership, and just one of the best experiences of my life. But in the repetition, because that's its whole point, is to come to the multiple events. The idea that the universe is happening for me has honestly changed my life perspective, my business perspective. Even today, when the trains aren't going right, I'm able to be settled. I'm able to be, I don't know exactly why all this is not going the way I'd planned it, but I'm going to assume that there's something, I'm going to trust it. And I'm better at it some days than other days, but
Sleep helps with
sleep
that.
helps a lot with
You can
that.
trust a lot better when you're well slept.
Yeah, for sure. But even when I have to, it's just such a quick motto that I can say to myself. And I've now, it's one thing to hear something and be like, yeah, that's true. Tony said it. But it's actually like the more I think about it that way, the more I trust in it that way, the more you see it. You see what you say. You see what you think. If I think everything is negative, or if I don't have that optimism, and given the optimism comment earlier, you might think I've always been that way, and I just haven't.
Really?
Oh no, I actually can't believe it. I might have a tattoo that says "Why me."
You haven't. You have.
I do.
I
can't believe I said that on a podcast. I do. Yeah.
Well,
I got it when I was 18.
I was going to say, was it irony taking the piss of the old
No,
version of it? You got that meaning it.
I got that meaning it. Like, why is this happening? I know. And I really hadn't put that together till sitting here. And it's like, if you could see the change that created in my life of this is all happening for you. And it's beautiful. And I'm so, so, so thankful.
That's so powerful. And I think I relate to it as well, because obviously I've done a lot of self-development, a lot of the Tony Robbins, a lot of the mindset coaching. People see me as this positive energy and all the rest of it. And number one, I'm not all the time. I'm definitely human. But number two, the reason I went in pursuit of that stuff is because I naturally wasn't a positive person. I was always frustrated and easily strung, and, why have I not achieved what I thought I was going to do? Like, it really is a conscious effort and decision to go, I'm going to work on this and I'll do the work. And I know a quote Tony Robbins speaks about a lot is repetition is the mother of mastery, right? And it's that changing a behavioral pattern, it takes time, but it's that consistent, persistent effort, right?
Absolutely.
So I love that. And I relate a lot.
Yeah. And I am surprised. It's funny when you do meet people and you're like, oh, so you've been on this journey too of just.
Because I'm shocked at you.
Yeah.
As if you have that tattoo. It's like the opposite to Rebecca Whitney.
It is. And I think what now is so great is the irony of it. Like, it wasn't an ironic.
Yeah.
It's just now it's like, man, I just sitting here, there's been a couple epiphanies this year like that of something, I joke that my accelerator, the flow and freedom, I've been typing freedom as part of my password for like 15 years. And I didn't put it together. Like, it just was a password thing. No, you can't hide. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah, just to be clear.
Don't
get any ideas.
Yeah. But I was on with my coach, and I was like, yeah, freedom's just been this like thing. And I was like, wait, I've literally typed this every day in some form so just those ironies, those gifts of the ironies, I love.
I think there's a really beautiful irony about that tattoo. It's that reminder of how far you've come.
Right.
And the work. All right. Flip side is, what is some of the worst advice you've received? And it's usually potentially been well-meaning and come from a good place, but through your life experience, you've gone on to say, actually, that's rubbish advice.
Just coming from the family dynamic that I did, which is not from a lot of money and not from and this is silly, but it's the first thing that came to mind. I love honoring my mom's advice for better or worse when I can, but I just remember there being this like there would be like something giving away on TV, like a car. My mom would be like, "Oh, but you have to pay the taxes and the insurance." Or like the don't work overtime because you just have to pay taxes on it. And I think without intending to, it created this mindset about money that I didn't understand, that it needled into, and created thoughts about like, well, if you get more, you're just paying more. If you get more, you're punished somehow. And so while I've walked away from that a long time ago, that probably was a part of my like mindset and outlook for maybe the first, 20 years of my life.
And no doubt played a part in contributing to that tattoo.
Right. 100% right in there. Yeah.
Because that sort of attitude, it's not worth it. What's the point?
Right,
and even if you do, you've got to pay tax and that kind of thing.
Just that meandering through and feeling like there's nothing good under the sun. And so it is interesting that the two really are tied together, but it really was that I can just remember her like it was yesterday. And it's like The Price is Right. And I'd be like, yeah, this is exciting. And my mom's like, they're just going to have to pay taxes, and it was always such a damper. And my mom passed away, but I love her. We had a complex but wonderful relationship. But she never understood what she had influenced us from that financial, but also that's, 4 or 5 generations, I'm sure.
Which is huge. And we forget that sometimes, don't we? Like the access we have today to things like self-development, mental health support, all these things. Right. I think we have to really honor and respect different generations, live through very different times.
Very different.
But what I will say is she would have definitely got on well with people in Yorkshire over here. That is a very common mindset over here. Let me just tell you that. Okay, next question. I think one thing that's really important is when we listen to podcasts like this and we hear from experts like yourself, it's very easy to put them on a pedestal and kind of think they're the expert, they're on a podcast, they know everything. And I think it's so important to come back to we're all human, we're all doing our best, and we all go through challenges throughout our life. So if you're happy to share, the question is, what is one thing you're struggling with right now? And importantly, how are you working through it?
Business-wise?
Anything. You choose.
Yeah.
It's just whatever the honest, that's something I'm struggling with.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'll go with the business route because the person will feel like a therapy session. We don't need to do that here today. But
we could.
Yeah, we could.
I will charge you.
But on the business side of things, it is interesting feeling like I should be the expert at all the things AI. I am still, and I said this to you as I was coming in, there are places where I'm paying that tax of not deciding how to use AI on an aspect of my business. So this,
do you want to just explain that concept as well? Because that's interesting.
Exactly. So I had read and I loved it. It basically was wherever you're not thinking of putting AI or automation, you're choosing to pay that tax every time you're not fixing that, every time you're not solving for it. And there are things in my business because I transitioned this year. So I kind of came into the year heavily focused on fractional C-suite services, typically marketing or operations. And that's very one-on-one and me with a team, to more of a one-to-many community format. And that means I basically like dwindled down one business and was building another one while serving both. And there are plenty of times I should have been leaning into my own advice around AI, leaning into some of the tools and capabilities, or thinking through that AI first, where as I'm realizing that's the way, or as I'm coaching somebody else, I'm realizing some of it, while I definitely do it more often probably than other people do, I am still on repeat doing some of the things that it could absolutely be an AI solve to it. And so so for anybody out there who's like, I haven't started, or I did it and it didn't work, or I struggle, or like I just can't get out of the doing that I'm doing every day to do that, I see you. I feel you. I'm there with you, because I just try to make sure every day that I am putting something on that path.
Sure.
And every day I am thinking about my system and thinking about the ways that I can bring AI into it. So I owned a marketing agency for a while, and one of the jokes in the marketing agency space is the cobbler's kids have no shoes. Marketing agencies are terrible at doing marketing themselves, right? They are terrible at it. And
I feel like most professionals would say that. They're good at doing it for their clients or
but they
giving
don't get
advice.
back. Yeah. So for me, probably everything I say to do, I have done or I'm doing with somebody else. It's that I see all the possibility that I haven't gotten to yet. And that is
And mentally, that's tough.
Mentally, that's tough. Coming into a new year, there's always this hope of like, okay, this year, and I know whenever you watch this may not be New Year, but this is when I'm going to pull those things together. And sometimes just the capital or the time resource that we need, or I travel quite a bit now for my role, so sometimes that's amazing. I get a good few hours on a plane, and sometimes I just need to sleep.
I would say you definitely do. And as somebody who cares about you, please do take that advice. But I would also say I've got a really strong feeling that this will be your year that you pull it all together. I think you've been doing a lot of the foundational work, the figuring it out, and now you're really ready to step into your own. If people have heard about you for the first time and they're listening to this podcast going, I just need to work with Rebecca. I need her to help me with AI. Do you want to just tell people, A, how they can find you online, but B, I'd love you to just share how they can work with you and how you do work with people.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So online, two of the easiest ways, advisory9.com, the number 9, advisory9.com. You can find me there, including a link to my community where I teach on some AI principles and other things. But there you can also book an AI audit, which is actually a great way to get a 30-minute call where we'll talk about the AI and where you're using it and where that what might be helpful to get you unstuck.
That would be so valuable for people. That is definitely a good starting point.
Yeah, go book it. It's right there on the start of the menu. On any social that I like to be on, it's Rebwhi, REBWHI, and the number 9 as well. So that's LinkedIn, Instagram. Definitely connect with me there. The 3 ways I work with people right now, I still do some of the fractional C-suite, but that is leaning now more and more towards the AI and bringing that in, not just marketing or not just operations. So if you're looking for a fractional C-suite, especially marketing person, let me know. If not me, I have plenty of people in that world. The second way that I work with them is within my community, which is the Flow and Freedom Accelerator, and its intent is to bring about an AI first, humanity always, focus on growing your business. So we teach on both AI and business growth principles. That is it through a school community, which I'm really excited about.
And that's like a subscription-based model that people can get involved with.
Yeah, absolutely. And we, it's a great add-on. It's the type of thing where when you're working on, especially like a membership like yours, you're like, I really want to lean into this AI aspect. We do monthly trainings. We have ongoing conversations. So that's a great way. And then if you're specifically looking to build something, we also do one-off builds with teams around AI. So Mapbots of the world and other things like that. The goal-setting voice AI agent I was just talking about, that's for somebody. So sometimes we find you don't need long-term help. And maybe in the accelerator, which by the way is 2 for 1 because business should be done together, you might want that more done. You want something just done for you, or you have one specific need. Definitely reach out and see if we can help.
And I cannot recommend your services enough. I'm just so pleased to be able to share you on this podcast with our audience. And amazing. I just want to say, please do get in touch with Rebecca. If nothing else, at least get that 30-minute phone call and just get some of your expertise looking over their business as well. Absolutely. Rebecca, this has been brilliant. Thank you so much. And the final question that I ask all guests on the show is, what is your personal definition of success?
My personal definition of success is the legacy I'm leaving within my family. So I mentioned the influence that I had from my parents. I have 2 girls biologically. I'd say I have 5 kids who call me mom. I have spent most of my career, life, personal development showing them a different way, whether that's through how we live, where we travel, and getting to spend time with them and seeing them have a different outlook on life than the one I had. No judgment, but just giving them another opportunity is my life's work.
Amazing. Rebecca, thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. It's been a delight.